Hello, folks. My name is Dr. Garraway, and I'm here with a recap of last Friday's virtual retreat, just the educational portion. I made a recording of it and I wanted to share it with everyone, especially with the individuals that said to me that they were unable to make it for whatever the reason, or they wanted to join and couldn't for whatever the reason. I wanted you guys to have this information, so I created this recording just for you to be able to share in the education experience. But come back next time, you will be able to engage in the experiential part of that. And we're going to unfold it, we're going to make it a little bigger, a little better, sharing with you techniques on how we can de stress and retreat from our daily chaotic world. My absolute gratitude to everybody that did show up, send their regards, show their support in however fashion you were able to. Love and light to you. Namaste.
Hello, welcome to tonight. Welcome to a night of rejuvenation. This is meant to be a virtual escape with some therapeutic properties. I am hoping that you leave tonight feeling renewed and refreshed. Welcome. My goal for tonight is to leave you feeling blissful. Rejuvenation is not a state that is obtained after one practice. It is a reoccurring intentionality. My name is Dr. Andrea Garraway. I'm a duly licensed mental health and substance abuse practitioner, and it is my distinct honor and privilege to guide you through this practice. It is my hope that these teachings will stay with you for a lifetime. Before we get started, caution. Although anyone will find the principles and the practice here useful, this is not intended to be psychological, medical, emotional, or spiritual. This will not offer you any antidote or cure for any presenting problems. However, if or when things surface, I would suggest seeking individualized care from me, a competent practitioner, or someone else that you trust. Over the past 2 years, we have been surviving firestorms, California, Brazil, Australia, dust storms, the sand from Africa making its way to the US and the Caribbean, floods, Germany and other parts of Europe, hurricane. My God, we are continuously praying for Haiti even now. And there's a ongoing war and dispute in the Middle East. We are mourning the loss of our loved ones, our divorce, loss of jobs. Emotionally, we are still fighting to thrive. How are we supposed to fix our crown? Shout out Dr. Gray. When we have all these underliers that are pushing up against us, we are caring for and loving our elderly. We are nursing our sick family members to health. We are moving forward, trying to regain and stabilize our esteem. We are even experiencing changes in our financial obligations. Some of us were getting married or moving into a new place, and these are all types of stress. You'll notice by the color gradation that there's different types of stress, going from the red all the way to the green. I could almost hear you guys scream, and COVID, and COVID. See, someone just private messaged me and said, and COVID. How could I forget about COVID? COVID has underpinned all of our experiences. COVID has contributed to a lot of our stress and distress. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, stress is defined as our brain's response to any demand. Now, given this definition, it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, but when it becomes harmful, it's when it is intense, have a long duration, so it's sustained, and there is no treatment there. That's been COVID. We don't have a solution for COVID. Stress takes various forms. There are the singular or short term stress. You and a loved one had a fight, for example. There is also recurring and long term stress. That can be an illness or a demanding job. Now, when the intensity and the duration of stress is sustained for a long period of time, that is what transition you from reoccurring long term to chronic and toxic stress. We all experience physiological reactions from stress. The danger with chronic stress, for example, COVID can be considered a chronic stress, is its ability to impact the functioning of your mind and your body. Stress occurs for several reasons. According to this research and several others I pulled, work and money were the top two sources why adults in America for the eighth year in a row report to be stressed. And I would venture to say, had COVID not interrupted the research, we would have noticed that these top two were the top for the ninth year in a row. Other contributors include family responsibilities, personal health, the health concern of others, also concern about your family in general, family in a whole, and our economy. Research found that women are consistently reporting higher levels of stress than their male counterparts. We're not only noticing the environmental stress, but we're also highlighting or spotlighting the discrimination of race, gender, disability. Many of us are living through times that ultimately are significantly more stressful than times previous. When we experience stressful events, that begins a chain reaction. The amygdala, that is that area of our brain that contributes to emotional processing, sends a signal to the hypothalamus. That's that area in our brain, much like the command center, that communicates to our nervous system whether or not we should fight or flee. Now, that fight or flight response is not a bad thing. However, that's what's responsible for our physiological reaction. Whether or not we take in more oxygen, we become more sweaty, or we experience a rush of adrenaline. Now, once we've gotten to that state of adrenaline, our body releases a hormone, and a hormone that's called cortisone. Cortisone is a wonderful thing that procures our body with the additional energy to do just that, fight or flee. Once that threat is over, our bodies then returns to stasis. However, we haven't had an opportunity to return to stasis. There's another wave. There is another strain. There's another something that is keeping our anxiety level, that's keeping our stress response in play. I want to emphasize that stress on its own, it's not necessarily problematic. It is the buildup of cortisone over the long period of time that we have experienced. That's where the problem lies. Cortisone is responsible for regulating our blood sugar. We realize that a lot of us are losing weight. It also have an influence on our hippocampus. We're noticing that a lot of us are cloudy headed. I've heard that before. Or we can't think straight. We have an issue with our memory, our recall, and just our overall processing. If we're feeling stagnated, we're feeling like we're onshore and experiencing all of this doubt, it's probably because, unbeknownst to us, that there is an excessive buildup of cortisone, and that is what we need to dispel. When we experience chronic stress, that releases a new level of cortisone. And with no way of dispelling the current levels, the cortisone hormone begins to build in our bodies and then causing impairment of our brain function. We see impairment in disruption of synaptic function. We also see a loss of sociability, avoidance, wanting to interact. We notice that stress kills brain cells. It even reduces the size of our brain. Chronic stress have the ability to shrink the prefrontal cortex. It impacts our abilities to make decisions. Chronic stress, it impairs the body's immune system. It exacerbates existing problems. So we may see other significant problems like the risk of heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, plasticity in our brain, neuroplasticity. That is our ability to learn and take in new information. Our fine motor skills, etc., are now impacted. We already talked about the hippocampus and the memory center, but these are all things that are relating to stress. We jovially would say stress kills. Here's how. That may sound daunting, doesn't it? But I'm here to tell you that there is hope. There are ways for you to regrow your brain cells, experience restoration and rejuvenation, thus collapsing yourself back into harmony. With this retreat, I am here to support the growing need to get away from technology, to experience silence, to experience touch and reflection. Taking time for yourself encourages mindfulness, it restores balance, clear mind, and reconnecting with the things of the values that are absolutely important to you. In today's fast paced, technologically charged times, we need to find new ways to manage our relationship with digital technology, the stress that comes with the always connected lifestyle, and I'm here to help you do that. I'm excited about this next portion. Here's where we get to implement everything you've just learned.